one button. You're the other time. Okay, let's do it. Hey, good afternoon. Today I would like to speak about the movie I saw recently, The Lives We Lead, so done by Davo Hardy, that is here today with us. So it's great to have you.
Good to be here, man.
Welcome.
Thank you.
And Davo is the director, producer, and also acting one of the main roles of the film. So
That's correct.
it was a lot of different hats to play with.
It was, and every day was another challenge.
I can imagine. So maybe let's talk first about the story. So that's the story of 4 characters, 2 girls and 2 boys, and their evolution into their life. And it's pretty much comedy. Comedy spin, most of it, but there is a kind of a deep drama moment, a deep drama aspect. What do you want to do with your life? What do you want to do with your life? So I thought maybe I should start with a tough question, because you're asking the audience what do they want to do in their life. Are they really achieving their goal? Have you achieved your goal? Do you know what you want to do with your life?
Well, I think making The Lives We Lead was a step in the right direction. I'd had a lot of success with some shorts in the past, but then when the time came to do a feature finally, it was a big gamble on all that I had learned as a skill set in production and also as a talented artist, and I wanted to do the best I could with it. So it was always my goal to be a feature director, and getting the first one done, I think, is the greatest hurdle, because no one takes you seriously before you do your first one. Yeah. Everyone approaches what you want to do with a certain amount of cynicism, and every person who owns a camera believes they're a filmmaker, so you need to force your way through that and bubble to the top. So it's always a challenge to start out, and to have achieved what we've achieved is already a great accomplishment.
That's true. Before, with the platform to start was the short film. Now you kind of need to do a feature film to really establish yourself.
Yes.
The bar raised quite a bit.
Yes. I think like a lot of film school students back in the day, I was always focused on doing features. But doing shorts, I found that it isn't going to delay a filmmaker to make shorts, because it gives them an opportunity to crash test their crew, basically, and their actors and themselves, and begin with low risk ventures. Because if a feature doesn't work out, then dozens of people get inconvenienced and it all lands right on your shoulders. Whereas if a short doesn't necessarily happen, then it can be fairly forgiven. And when a short feature, when a short is successful, it benefits that little group, little team. Thank you. And that team then stay together for the next one and the next one as it builds. And by the time you get to the feature, then you've got this crew and this team around you who you can depend on entirely. So that's the approach I took before making The Lives We Lead.
Maybe let's talk about the story.
Okay.
I think I can count 1 wedding and nearly 4 funerals. the reverse.
Yes.
So that was the trigger. It's obviously a comedy, but with some kind of a deep drama in it. What was the trigger for you to tell this story?
Well, I reached age 25 and looked around me at all my peers growing up, and most of them were having their first child or their third child. Some of them were putting down payments on their first home, and they were all getting married and doing what they wanted to do with their lives. With that way that people tend to project a more successful version of themselves than they really are. And of course that's what I was seeing, not what goes on behind the scenes. So I saw these people really succeeding in life, and I looked around at my lot and I thought, oh God, I don't measure up. And all this at age 25 thinking, my life's going nowhere. So as soon as that thought passed, I was then talking myself down, saying, but David, you're 25 years old. you're only a baby still.
It's a quarter of a century.
Pretty much. So no one has their life sorted out at age 25, and if it really concerns you, then why not fix that up? So I decided to put all that angst into something productive, and I wrote the feature, Lies We Lead. I treated it as a drama, but I didn't want the audience to go through 2 solid hours of people's miseries, so I did throw in as many laughs as I could, and keep it as light as I could. But then when I had to really hit a
point
or an issue, yeah, because I don't know. I think there comes a time in all films and all genres where it can deviate and waffle for a bit, but the point has to be made. It needs to be made strongly and give the audience a bit of something to sort of ponder afterwards. Otherwise, the film is in itself forgettable.
Yeah. I really like the fact that dialogues are very witty. That's why I see that more as a comedy, dialogue-wise. But yeah, there's definitely a lot of drama. And I really like the fact that each character have a specific kind of goal that they are fighting for, but very different obstacles. So that's what you wanted. It looks like a bit of a society portrait. People with really their own obstacles, their own approach to life.
Yeah, that was always the goal behind the characters. In the early stages of writing, I was sitting down with Georgina Neville and Sally Williams to do the pre-production on the story, and we came up with our characters. That's Pamela, Edith, and Kerry, and gave them all their own goals. So with the background of one of them being quite spoiled, one of them being fairly overlooked by comparison to the other, and then the other given quite a strong nudge to not pursue recreation and fun, but more just to be a provider and a hard worker. They are not doomed to fail from the beginning, but they are given a certain chip on their shoulder from an early age, and that does lead them into personality traits which can steer them in either direction later on. So.
Yeah, another thing that struck me in the movie is the quality of the production. I think nowadays, maybe with technology, you can achieve like $1 million production with less than $1 million.
That's true.
Does it have any trick? Is it the technology, or it's more an eye to find what looks good on camera?
It was a mix of the two. My sound people and my camera people were all very talented and have been working in the industry for many years. And we are in an age where the right technology is at our fingertips. So on our modest shoestring budget, we were able to create a quality product. But that also came with the people behind the scenes, ones who just either in the makeup with the aging, or with the cinematography, or with the rest of the crew, that they all brought their own skill set rather than relying entirely on the hardware. Yeah. And I think that's what gave it the flavour of the film.
So you talk about the team, the 4 of you. So one of the main goal, obviously the film is the main output, but creating a team you can work with in the future is also one of the main outcome of the project.
Yes, there are people involved in the Lies We Lead who I've worked with on films gone past, and there is a camaraderie when you get onto a film team, either as an actor or as a crew member, because it is a team effort. Yeah. Even though certain people's names get more headline than others, and more people get recognition than others, unfortunately, it is a team effort, and I don't think anything is more important when making a film that everyone should feel part of a team. Yeah. There have been times, especially like at film school, when it's all about the ego and all about the this is my film and so on. When
I thought artists have no ego.
Oh, they do in the film school. Hopefully it gets...
We are all human beings.
Yeah. It does, thankfully, tend to leave most people as they get older, but when we're young, we certainly want to be the best we can be. by the time we got around to making the feature, a lot of the cast and crew had already reached a level of professionalism and maturity where it was about the project. And I think that's why the actors really were brave in their roles, and they brought so much to the performances that it wasn't about them looking good on screen. It was about them being the most believable as their character.
Yeah. You did work with most of them with your first short. Is it complex?
Complex, yes.
Complex. Was it mainly the main crew or half of it?
Half of it, I'd say. There were people. Half of it, I'd say. There were people who were involved with Complex who were just not available for the time frame we were making the Lies We Lead in, even though they really wanted to be involved. So when we were putting the cast and crew together, it was the same as the schedule of shooting. It was put around people's availability, because I didn't want people to miss out on what they were also doing with their own time and their own lives based on this project. But at the same time, we needed people who were reliable and available. So, yes.
You still managed to shoot in about 2 months, you mentioned.
Yes, we shot the entire film in about 21 days, spread over a 2-month period. It was, again, put around people's availability, but also when we did very intense days, and when there was some travelling, we filmed everywhere from Wollongong to Richmond to all around Sydney. And when we had long days like that, we needed a break afterwards. And I think that really helped out with this style of filmmaking, because people did need a break from the heaviness of the plot and the interaction with each other day in, day out for hours on end.
Yeah. Actually, we have quite a lot of young filmmakers following us, but also a lot of actors. And we are quite interested to see your approach to directing actors. First, because you're acting, did you have to jump into your mark and say action?
I did not, thankfully. On the days when I was really heavily into acting, there's
somebody else.
Yeah, there's one scene where we're all having a birthday party for an unseen 2-year-old who's finally down for a nap, and I'm on set as my character carried off at that scene. And for that entire day of shooting, I had to give the role of directing, the one to say action and cut, and what to do with the cinematographer to my first AD, because it wouldn't have been fair to anyone else for me to have been wearing 2 hats at once.
Yeah, it's quite difficult for you and for them.
For sure.
And because you wrote the script, did you have a specific idea of characters physically? Did you cast people that really correspond to what you have in mind, or did you build the character with the cast you selected?
The 4 main cast, that's myself and Sally and Georgie and Josh, the roles were fairly written for ourselves, because each of us had more ambition as actors, and we weren't quite getting the roles which we were wanting to get, and I myself was being typecast and all sorts of stuff, so I was looking at this a bit more, together.
So they all contributed to the writing as well? Georgina did?
Yes, and Sally did. Josh came into the project when we were already into production, but he brought a lot of uniqueness to his character as Gavin also. So
it was a very strong performance.
It certainly was, yes. But when it came to the more supporting characters, it was left much more open. I didn't necessarily see those characters as clearly in my mind's eye when writing it, but when we were auditioning actors, I had to see that character in them in that time, and I was very lucky with the people who we got, I think.
So in terms of directing actors on sets or during rehearsals, they were, because you worked together, they were able to build the character by themselves? Or did you have to guide to a specific vision you had, or it was more collaborative?
I suppose it was collaborative, because I gave each of the actors the foundations of their character and the foundations of the scene and what they're going to have as their character arc. But those nuances and how the character is brought to life was always from the actor. And I think that's why they took it on board with such passion, because it was theirs to make of what they wanted to. And I think every parent character in the film happens to take on this authority.
Yeah.
And I liked that because it does reassert, especially in the first act, who each character is to each other. And then you see characters who begin as the children with their parental dynamic, and how that shifts over the course of their lifetime and over the course of the film. So it's very true to life like that.
Okay. And so everybody had this opportunity, the opportunity to build their character. And actually, I had a question that went away from my mind.
That's cool.
Drink a bit of water. So, casting, directing. So I think we cover acting, directing. So once you finish the shoot, 40 days, quite pretty quick. How was the post-production exercise? Was quite straightforward, or sometimes it can be a nightmare, spending a lot of hours in the dark? Was it the case for you?
Oh gosh, once we began editing, it was, we wrapped the film in early February of 2015, and I think it just took several weeks just to disconnect from it. I wanted to come back to all the footage after Rob Greaves colour graded it with fresh eyes, and I had not seen the footage since shooting days. I always gave the rushes to Rob, and he was always backing up on his hardware, and then gave them all to me in one big bulk. We had again 40 odd hours of footage, and it was a lot to sort through for him, unfortunately. But when I saw it all, even I was excited and impressed, because after that break, I was seeing this stuff for the first time, and watching it all back, I could just start to see it all come together, and that's when it really started to excite me. Even after all that time of writing it and producing it, to finally have all of that great material there, and just all this potential as to which parts to use and how much of it, and all that decision making ahead of me, it was actually very, very fun. I think I edited the first cut of the film in under 2 months. It was a time when I didn't have a lot else going on, and it was most often day in, day out, all day, all night editing, just because it was, for me, it's such a fulfilling exercise.
Did you dive into it?
I did, and even though I had written the script in all different parts and then strung it all together, I pretty well edited the film start to finish. Some parts, of course, got shifted around and changed before the final edit, but I think for me, editing it from start to finish gave it the right flow, and the focus that I needed was also looking forward to the finale of the film, that it was going to be my reward to do that last.
Okay. Yeah, I found the question I had about the character building. I can roll back to the character building. You mentioned you also use a theatre platform to develop the characters. And you work with the part of the cast.
Yes.
In some short form of play.
Yes. The Lies Lead began as a 10-minute short play for this workshop called Crash Test Drama, which is done in Newtown once a month. And what they ask of playwrights is to submit a 10-minute play, which is basically given to actors cold. So the actors come in at maybe 5:30 in the evening. They are auditioned to the panel of maybe 10 directors, and then put into the play of the director without knowing what the story is, content is, characters are. They're given the script, they read over it, about 3 or 4 times within the group of people involved, and then they perform it to a live audience about an hour and a half after they've walked in, so about 7. And that's what happened with The Lies We Lead. So it all began in that format with Georgina and Sally and myself, and we were not only testing out how we work as actors with that material, but also how the audience responds to its content. And rather than have all these different characters and all of their nuances in the way that the film portrays, we just basically had the two sisters in back and forth dialogue, reminiscing over the 50-year history of hatred towards each other, and that duality of I love my sister, but also hate her for taking away, my first boyfriend, or for ruining that one time when I should have had my career big break or whatever. And that's all done with this rather snappy, backstabby dialogue where they're just trying to one-up each other with, who was the first one, to get married, who's the first one to get divorced, and that.
The comedy spin comes from
yes.
this part of the work.
The irony being that a lot of the comedy that happens in The Lies We Lead is at the expense of another character's happiness. There's a bit of sadism in there.
As usual.
As usual. And there are different types of comedy when it comes to filmmaking. There can be a screwball comedy, which is just ridiculous sight gags and things which just sort of happen in a slapstick form. There's also very intelligent comedy where it's all about the character's intelligence and how that's mirrored against the events of everyone else around them. And I think The Lies We Lead comedy is just how selfish some people are, and how important it is to be number one. That's I think for most people, if they step back from it, it actually is quite amusing how people do that.
We can laugh about it easily. Maybe the Americans would not laugh at the same thing. So it would be difficult to distribute in the US.
That's actually the irony, is that with The Lies We Lead now, I've had the greatest success with it over in the United States. To them, and this is strange, to them The Lies We Lead is a foreign film, and we're all exotic Australians. So I think for them it's a whole different use of comedy and of the medium.
They found it more charming.
I suppose so, yeah. And that is amusing in itself. It's been shown to a lot of local audiences of all backgrounds, and there's quite a divide with people's expectation of what a drama is. They were expecting, I think, something more along the lines of Terms of Endearment, where it's comedy, and suddenly someone gets cancer. But with The Lies We Lead, there's a lot more of a peak and trough as far as the drama-comedy ratio goes, and that's why it reaches more people.
So that's why when you get the drama, it hurts more.
Yes.
It's not too big. It's really anchor into the reality of the character. So once you spend a lot of time in the editing, you get your final product. So how did you approach the distribution? So you've done 2 screenings already.
Yes. Well, distribution began way before the screenings and the premiere. I wanted to have all that in place before the premiere, and I was lucky enough to actually be able to announce at the premiere, after the film showed, that we did in fact get distribution. And how did I approach them? I approached them on my knees begging, saying, this is my feature film, and this is who I am, and you don't owe me anything, the world doesn't owe me anything, but this is something which I've produced, and it would mean the world to me if you would at least look at it. Many did not.
It's one of the hardest moments of filmmaker's life.
Is it ever? It can be character building, and it can be it can lead to a greater sense of accomplishment later on when it is achieved, as I found out.
It's like a baby who's refused to go to school.
I suppose so, yeah. It's like when I was making The Lies We Lead, it was very much my baby, and I want to give it its best opportunities. And when somebody else sees it and thinks, oh, you know, there's not enough star power in it, or the music is good, but there's no chance of it being an official soundtrack to go on the charts. You know, so where's the money in that? It detracts from what the film can mean to a wider audience, and that's a shame. But in saying that, in this day and age, the platform of how films get around it has changed. Yeah. It's a lot more video on demand now. It's a lot more streaming, and that is not. It might be the end of what we know as what cinema is, but it's not the end of what we know as films being distributed, appreciated, and given a strong following. So
you're able to get this movie on an online platform, or what's the way for the audience to watch it? I think you have some screening coming soon.
Yes.
And the online streaming or cinema on demand is also another approach.
Well, because of the way that technology is going right now, The Lies We Lead is actually one foot on each platform. So one avenue that it's available is on DVD from TLA Releasing, and they're in association with I forget how to pronounce this, Geeko, which is quite similar to Netflix in it's a video on demand streaming company, and that is currently in the process. So within the next few months, after its distribution on DVD on October 13th, it will get more streaming opportunities. And so it's really just seeing which platform it works best on, being an independent Australian film.
And you're also going to use the Tug Cinema on Demand, so you can go online on Tug and request a screening. So how does it work? You need to be a certain number of people requesting the same cinema? Yes.
It's all about, I guess, the demand part of video on demand and cinema on demand. So it's a chance for the film to be shown theatrically, as it has been in the past, with me hosting those events. But when people outside of the cast and crew want to host an event to screen the film, it is based very much on the numbers. And that's what Target is known for. And that's, at this point in time at least, the closest that we have to domestic distribution. So if you would like to support Australian films, that's the way to go for now.
Let's go on Tug. So thanks a lot for your time. It was great to talk to you, and we wish you all the best for the lives we lead.
Thank you, Sam.
Thank you.